The IEEE Consumer Electronics Society is a lot of fun to be in. And part of the fun here is actually with our folks from St. Petersburg and the efforts that they've been putting into to create basically a video record of Consumer Electronics Society and our events. I think it's a great thing. So I think you should make yourself famous on IEEE Consumer Electronics Society TV.
Make yourself famous.
Make yourself famous.
Make yourself famous.
Promociona tu carrera.
Make yourself famous.
Hey, everybody, make yourself famous.
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 If you are a speaker, if you have content to deliver to your fellow members of the Consumer Electronics Society, speak and make sure you're recorded by YouTube at IEEE-CESsociety.com. And if you want to learn those new stories, find this website, find these stories, and read them and pass them along.
So while we're setting up for the next session, I just want to tell everybody what's going to be going on. We have, if you look at the program, something called Best of CES, and this session will run until 2 p.m. Both Mark Cooper's presentation and the Best of CES are actually being right now, as well as being recorded and archived. I'm told that the web server, the streaming server, is actually located in St. Petersburg, Russia. So we're going from here in Las Vegas to St. Petersburg and then out on the web, out on the internet, the streaming service, representing, in fact, the broad geographic diversity and technical challenges that we're conquering here. For those who have not previously participated in this Best of CES session, it's a very informal kind of thing. The three of us have been on the floor of the Consumer Electronics Show, walking around, observing what we thought was kind of interesting. In many cases, observing some of the, what we're calling not the highlights, but the sidelights of the show, the things that you may have missed that we found particularly interesting, that represent emerging and new categories of products and technology becoming out. I want to make a couple other just personal notes before we get into the actual substance of the next presentation. Set up here. We have another session beginning at a few minutes past 2. That is, it'll be a 10-minute break from when this ends and the next session begins. We have a distinguished speaker. And,
I can watch it online.
He has a biography that I'm going to give highlights from when we break for the session. That would take the rest of the conference to be able to live, but you certainly don't want to miss that if you have an opportunity to attend that session, which is right across the hall. The other thing I want to mention that in addition to Russ agreeing to give this presentation, Russ was also the nominator for the Missouri Book Award for Martha, so we're doing for that purpose. Again, we're just still a few seconds away from finishing the getting started part of this. I want to say something about the Missouri Book Award that I'm not sure everybody is completely aware of. And reasons for talking about it are again to say how grateful we are to Marty for what's involved. The Missouri Blue Book Award is a field of interest award. It operates under the authority of the IEEE Awards Board. That is, it's separate from the Technical Activities Board, of which this Consumer Electronics Society, this conference operates. So we're really, the award decision is made, even though there's contribution and input by those of us who are members of the Consumer Electronics Society. It's formally awarded the awards board. The recipient of the award has many opportunities to receive it in many different places. There's nothing automatic about receiving it here at the ICCE. And so we are delighted, despite competition from other societies, to have him receive the award at other conferences, that he elected to come to our conference to receive the award and to give us his presentation. This is going to be a lightning round. We're going to have just 7 minutes each of quick flashes of products. And if something goes over 7 minutes, I'm going to call time. And then we'll continue through this. So, Rick, are you ready to go?
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Bergman.
Wireless mic up here. Test 1, 2.
Great, thank you. Okay, with that stellar start, my name is Mike Bergman. I'm with the Consumer Electronics Association. We are the ones who not only hosted that big party last week, the 4 days of chaos and insanity that represents the consumer electronics industry coming together for a really massive display of innovation and technology. So I'm going to go through very quickly because Stu is only giving me 7 minutes, so let's start the clock now. There was a lot of work done to make the Consumer Electronics Association, the Consumer Electronics Show booths exciting and attractive. There's a lot of cool stuff, but actual major announcements. Samsung announced a major presence in the Internet of Things, and a number of other companies also brought their game for the Internet of Things. This is a washing machine that's smart and connected to the internet. This is the inset is for SmartThings, which is a partner of Samsung. Virtual reality really took off at this show. Oculus Rift, the line for Oculus Rift was out the door. It wrapped around the booth to try the demo on Oculus Rift. Also on this slide you'll see a couple of partners of in open source virtual reality. So virtual reality is really taking off. 3D imaging, big deal with 3D imaging. At the Intel booth was the RealSense technology. What you'll see here is a man standing in front of a camera-based imaging system that's recognizing what it's looking at and even pulling out the hat in this sort of pixelated display. They have implemented this technology in a Dell mobile device, and they were showing that in the booth. Also 3D, but this time printing. Brand name, Dremel. Dremel has gotten into the game. Dremel is a well-known do-it-yourself brand. And to have a famous name that you'll find at every Lowe's and Home Depot in the United States, and you'll find a Dremel in the garage of people like me, to have them on the 3D printing bandwagon is pretty big. You also see in the inset, some of the companies that were at the Consumer Electronics Show last year came to the show upping their game with a second generation product that was 3D Doodlers from the 3D Doodler second generation. In automotive, the aftermarket people were implementing Apple CarPlay and Android Auto to connect better with the smartphones. And the auto OEMs displayed yet more connectivity and yet more steps on the way to fully autonomous driving. The autonomous vehicle is not something that we're going to hit in one step, so there's a lot of driver assist technologies being shown. High-resolution audio is a big deal in a number of booths. Sony, which is leading the charge on high-resolution audio, that's 96 kilohertz, 24-bit or better type of lossless storage and replay of music. This is Sony's Walkman, the new relaunch of the Walkman, but in high-resolution audio. I listened to that, by the way, it sounds fabulous. Authentication is getting easier. The large panel here is the Plantronics two-factor authentication system, which is a Plantronics audio headset, like a Bluetooth headset, which recognizes you, as well as a fingerprint sensor on the mobile device working together. The small inset is a MasterCard with a digital readout for the CV2 code on the back, that 3-digit code that you have to enter every time you use the internet online. It's now changing like an RSA key file. Chips, NVIDIA was there with their Tegra X1. It's a teraflop of performance, a 64-core GPU, massive device. The small inset at the bottom right is from Freescale. It's their Warp development kit, which is a wearables application reference platform. It's chips and tools to make wearables integration much more simple and easy. On the display front, quantum dot backlighting. Those vials are vials of quantum dots, actually, quantum dot crystals. OLED was big. Fourth color was a story being told at the Sharp booth. They have been adding a yellow color to their pixels, along with RGB, and now they are using video image processing to take advantage of the fact that they have a fourth color to work from. High dynamic range was very big. A lot of high dynamic range displays set up, demos set up. This is actually a simulated high dynamic range demo. This is the real thing. And you can tell the difference these images are showing when you've got more dynamic range in the video space to work with. HEVC is maturing. It was approved a year and a half ago or whatever. Now this is a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor doing HEVC decoding at 3.8 megabits per second, which is very nice if you're looking at, it's a 4K display. Wearables. Wearables got to be application specific. We thought wearables, we at the Consumer Electronics Association expected wearables to be huge, and they were really huge. However, this doesn't really tell that story. This is something like 9 booths for wearables. The wearables category actually was in applications. Lifelong Tech had wearables, fitness and technology, family, kids, health and wellness, all had wearables applications in their application-specific areas. Fitness and technology got more capabilities. You'll see the top 2 squares, we have GPS tracking watches, one from Garmin on the left, one from Timex Ironman on the right. On the bottom is a smart band that will check your body fat composition. And on the lower right is a Huawei TalkBand, a fitness tracker that also has a link to the smartphone so you can talk to your smartphone through that. We saw more variety in fitness and technology, mature products that looked really good and really usable. This is the top left is a pedal assistance electronic bike. There's a lot of GoPro camera followers, companies that are doing cameras like GoPro. At the bottom left is a vertical leap check. Vertical leap tester and another body composition analysis device. Family technology connected up. We saw a lot of products that were connected there. Health and wellness, we saw a lot of new ideas. There are, what you see on the screen are timers to allow parents to trade who gets up in the middle of the night, or biofeedback sensors to help with stress management. Other products there. Fashion was big. A lot of people tried to make fashion a key element here. On the screen are brands like Guess and Aristocrat. partnering with other technology companies. So that's my really fast run through. And thank you, Stu, for the extra 22 seconds.
Hopefully you're allowing enough time here for a little bit afterwards. All right, I'm going to go while Rick is setting up here, and I'm going to stay true to the rules. I'm going to set my timer here, being we're going, and if I do something wrong, Rick's going to kick me. Okay, trapdoor. So I may be straight off the main path just a little bit, and hopefully you find this interesting. Particularly excited about gesture kind of control because the whole human interface thing, somewhat to what I think Marty was talking about, making very complex things easy to use. I think that's part of it. This particular company was showing technology that was implemented as an applique, hoping that what we build in is real life. But the thing here is you're using the keyboard and you don't actually have to touch anything. You just lift your finger up, move it in front of this device, it finds a tip. They have a little video here, and I'm not going to show the whole thing, but maybe I can get to the point where the thing will advance. Oh boy. Let's see. Was this made by Bill Gates? No. My machine is frozen. Rick, you want to see if you can get your thing going? Oh wait. It looks like there's signs of life here. Let's see. Yeah. It's probably the AVI version of this thing that's creating a problem. So I'm going to skip over the video and go right to the slide. I think I'm back on. Of course, I'm eating up my time. All right, here is a 360 view webcam. It actually doesn't move. It's got multiple sensors around it and synthetically creates a 360 degree view of the room. And of course, you can see it's implemented in a variety of different form factors so that you can think about putting it in a child's room, perhaps in one on the left, or using it in other places. This is kind of an Internet of Things thing. You can see it has a standard Edison base that plugs into a regular light socket. And in addition to being a LED light, it has a motion sensor in it and speaks Wi-Fi and a camera so that when there's motion in front of the thing, perhaps it's an outside light or you might use it indoors, it will send a webcam or video picture to somewhere locally or perhaps at the other end of the world using Wi-Fi. This is another one that has a video on it that I probably am not going to try and show, but let me describe it. They describe it as a robot printer, and this is a very compact, small printer you put in the palm of your hand, but it can print a full 8.5 by 11 page of paper. And the way the thing does it, the video is quite remarkable, is you drop the thing on the paper, and it's got a little motor on it, and a inkjet printhead, and it moves across the paper, left to right, zigzags back and forth, and then lays down a printing on the paper. So for the road warriors who travel around, here's a product that will actually fit your briefcase. The TTS Iono. I've got 3 minutes left here. Oh, actually this one's running here. All right, I'm going to let it go just a minute so you can see what the thing is doing. Not fast, but when the program changes and you need to print something out, run it through the Xerox machine like I did last night. I wish I had one of these. I don't think they'd like being interrupted though like this. Let's see what happens. All right. This was, I don't know how visible this particular thing is. Kenwood had a display where they were showing car connectivity, and I thought that was kind of interesting because so many different applications that were tied to basically having a single point of view or control of the car. I'm not sure you can see all this, but it's got a mix of telematics, entertainment, diagnostics, car-to-car type of connectivity applications, of course Bluetooth for playing your MP3 player back. You know, just about everything you possibly might imagine in the connected car was shown in this particular exhibit. I really love this. Augmented reality, virtual reality, they're two slightly different things. The virtual reality stuff that Michael talked about with the head-mounted displays and gyroscopes in it that know where you're looking and show you stereoscopic things are very interesting. Augmented reality might be something on the dashboard of your car that shows you virtual billboards as you're driving down the street. This was a handheld augmented reality. What you can probably detect here is a temporary mount for an iPhone and then a toy, a gadget that you can basically look at the real world with and use this to play various games where you get to see what the camera on the iPhone is looking at, and the gun actually has position sensors that can identify targets that you end up pointing at, so you can end up playing games that allow you to look at both the real world and the virtual world through the display on the phone at the same time. This was, how am I doing in time? It's tough. It's tough. Well, then I'm going to do what it did for you. I'm going to take a couple 20 seconds to finish up. This is an applique you make to a conventional cell phone. It has a screen with micro lenses on it and applications that allow you to see 3D on a real screen. This was an e-book technology. It is a sled that you clamp your cell phone into so you get a bistable display that doesn't use any battery power in addition to the regular display that's on the other side of the phone. I'm going to skip that. And this is my last one. I can't resist talking about this. These are glasses that you wear to see the outside world. They look at your eyeballs, and if they detect that your eye movements are not natural or normal while you're driving, they assume you're either distracted, stoned, or asleep, and they create a warning. Oh, no, there you go. I didn't go over. I'm right on time. How about again, an interesting use of different sensors and technologies for an application that's across. I did have one more. I lied. I took this out of sequence. This is a dash cam. There are multiple dash cams that were out there. This particular one, in addition to recording what's going on and having accelerometers, that if there's an accident or something, it will start recording things at a more rapid clip. But it also has distance measuring capability and rate of closure capability. So in the event there's an impending collision because you're approaching a car too fast, it'll sound a warning and put that in there. Again, a combination of these various different technologies. All right, I did run over.
Did hit the screen. Technology works. Oh, I think the two previous speakers have saved me maybe 8 miles of walking the show this week, so thank you. My assignment, Stu, was audio and video technologies, and of course there are scores of things there, but I'll try to concentrate on the top dozen and a half, and we'll try to post these photos later on for you. Sony seems to have a commitment to high-res audio, and their newest product is this high-res Walkman, the ZX2. It seems to have the task of single-handedly making the company profitable because it's priced at $1,200. It's not out of the reach of a lot of audiophiles. Whereas Neil Young had a few wonderful sessions here at the show, and he introduced his Pono high-res audio player, and that seems to be at a more consumer-friendly $399, although he admits that he wants to get that price down quickly, and there are other high-res audio systems. 192 kilohertz, 384 kilohertz, lots of interesting, going way above CD quality. Resound is a company that has a wonderful use of digital signal processing technology where they customize a hearing aid not just for high-end loss, not just for ear ringing, but even for directionality in your sound. Or if you have one ear better than the other, as many people do, it is programmable from your iPhone right now. They're intending to add Android as well, but right now it's an iPhone programmable device that you can customize after you've left the audiologist. Many companies are delivering empty room so that you can walk from one room of the house to another, your apartment, and enjoy the same music. And then some of them even have sensing, so if you leave a room, that music will tone down after a while, so your neighbors don't think you have a big party. LG's is Music Flow, and it's easily programmable from their TV and from smartphones and watches. Their Fidelio soundbar is a Philips solution that is multi-room as well, but their greatest claim to fame is, you'll see that speaker on the left, that is a rear channel speaker, one of two, itself to recharge, giving you about 4 to 7 hours of cordless freedom. And when you place the rear speakers in different locations of an apartment, few of us have perfectly symmetrical lifestyles, the system will actually feel out the room and rebalance the sound for the best surround sound experience possible. In video technologies, of course, HDR technology was touched upon a little bit earlier, adding high dynamic range. Most people still perceive that as just contrast. In this photo here, you can see at the Sony booth, there's much more additional detail. Conventional displays from LED lit displays on the right. We have, of course, 8K coming into the sphere here, and Panasonic themselves addressing at least the 4K content challenge with their first prototype, no release date yet, no announced shipping price, of a UHD Blu-ray player. And the Blu-ray group has slowly been working on this over many years, many standards meetings, trying to match up Hollywood video companies as more and more content with a way to deliver content physically to UHD systems. Sharp, as mentioned earlier, not only was earliest with UHD, but they have developed a virtual 8K display, which will take a 4K signal, and with the fourth color that was mentioned earlier, their yellow, will expand that to 8K resolution, sort of the first upresser, if you will, to deliver 32 million pixels from essentially an 8 million pixel source. So they're counting on that. Sony, on the other hand, targeted a 4.8 millimeter thin display that we seem to have not been able to render here on the screen. I apologize. But it is, of course, thinner than most cell phones and tablets, and yet it is a 65-inch, 8 megapixel, 4K UHD display, 4.8 millimeters thin. Samsung's VR handset was on display in their booth. You may have bumped into it before while they were enjoying the VR. Samsung is very committed to this. They intend to challenge the Oculus momentum and allow traditional Samsung phones to be expanded into a full VR universe with the addition of sensors and a software development platform. Now, what may be a larger area from consumers we've spoken to will be augmented reality. And while Sony didn't give details to their plan here at the show, Epson is actually shipping this Moverio augmented reality glass, where you can fit prescription lenses into this. The pocket adapter accepts signals from Bluetooth and from Android and iOS phones and from PCs, and it allows you to overlay using GPS or other locations or beacons additional information on the lenses so that you can enjoy a vacation better, understand what an ancient wall means in history, or whether the shopping price of the thing you're looking at is cheaper 2 doors down in the mall. Other areas of display technology, quite a line at the the LG booth, for the Flex display, the LG Flex 2, which is far more flexible than their first phone. Its curvature is designed so that if it does fall on its faceplate with a 700 millimeter radius, it will not crack, and this has been demonstrated several times during the show. HEVC codec adoption has been described earlier, and this in several sections here. And additional descriptions. Beyond the Blu-ray player announcement, the first concrete delivery system for North America is this 4K Joey from the Dish Network people. And this not only delivers 4K to a TV, but allows the true video fan to watch 2 HD signals side by side on their 4K display when they don't have a 4K source. But thinking ahead, the MHL community that has attached video from mobile phones to HD and now 4K, they developed a connector for 120 hertz 8K that will work from a mobile handset. And this is on the roadmap for Qualcomm and other companies to be able to handle 8K content in mobile devices, not just handsets, but I don't think we call them set-top boxes, we probably call them wallet stuffers, the way they're shrinking. The last area here of display innovation we've seen at the show, I hope you had a chance to enjoy it. We'll be hearing about more in upcoming months. Faster processors are going into the TV, quad-core, 8-core, and these are allowing very snappy user navigation, very far away from the traditional tile interfaces that has been the last few years. So LG is doing this with their second generation of WebOS 2. Samsung has developed Open Tizen, which they're showing in their display. It's not quite as snappy, it's a little behind the developer community from LG. And not to be outdone, Panasonic was the first to adopt the Firefox OS system. So it's going to be a very exciting time ahead, and that's going to go. There's a Sony 4.8 millimeter. You can barely see it on this screen. I'm not sure that display shows it either. 4.8 millimeters for a 65-inch display. Glass makers must be really happy with that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. What's pretty amazing is we used to say that our technology conference here looks at technologies for 3 to 5 years from the marketplace, but it turns out that very often the very same technical papers we're dealing with here at the conference end up showing up on the show floor, at least in prototype form. So I think what we have to do is we have to say we're 3 to 5 years ahead of the mainstream, where the technology is engineered to the point where it becomes cost effective and high enough performance to move in the mainstream. We deliberately engineered, speaking of engineering, this session to end with about actually 30 minutes of time. And I'd like to use that time for people in the audience who may want to, again, briefly, without this, tell us about something that they saw that was particularly interesting. I'm going to hand this wireless microphone to anybody who wants to basically identify something. But I guess I did miss that video, so let me see if I can take the time now to show you that little piece of video clip, and then we'll get into the audience Q&A. Rich, could you punch up?
So now we see how the rules work.
I'm going to give you guys time. 3, 3 is fine. Yeah, it should be there. Okay. So if you remember, this was the Motix gesture thing, and I didn't do a great job.
Time to say goodbye to your pesky mouse and your touchpad. With Motix, just point your finger to control your PC and Mac. Hands stay on the keyboard. Eyes stay on the screen. No mouse, no trackpad. Welcome to the world's simplest and most efficient computer cursor control. Just
continue, because I don't want it to be a promotion for any one company, but you can see the basic concept here of gesture control. Again, making complex things easy to use, human interface. It's my belief that's going to be the basis of distinction and differentiation. Guys, you want to say anything before we get on?
I'd like to amplify Martin's challenge earlier that the real power of the CES are the technology exhibits when you can find them. Sometimes they're on the main, they're in a suite, they're in Eureka Park. So as you bring up the things you saw at the show floor, I think in tribute to Martin's challenge, try to concentrate on things that weren't just in the LG or Panasonic booth, the things that will keep our industry and our jobs exciting for years to come.
Yeah, let me start. I'll give you an example. Eureka Park was the startup floor. Last year we had about 250, 275 companies in Eureka Park. This year it was over 350. I think it was close to 375 companies in Park. And some of the stuff I saw there was absolutely amazing, but there was a craft beer machine where you have to let the mash steam or ferment for a couple of weeks. But once that's ready, you put the material in the machine, and 3 hours later you have. I like it. It's like a 3D printer for beer. And I tried the beer, and let me tell you, it was excellent. It was really good. How about somebody else? Who saw something really cool on the floor?
Mike has got a microphone here, and
Mike has the mic.
But I thought I could start actually. I was a little disappointed that I didn't see any DNA sequencers this year. It was 2 years ago.
That was the slides. I didn't have time to do those slides. There was like 18, 19 companies with DNA sequencers.
Is that true?
Yeah. It was right next to 3D printing, so you could use the two together.
Okay. But I was also amazed by the number of companies showing unmanned systems, the drones, and either storing video on cameras on board or streaming them to the ground. That's going to be an interesting and also controversial technology moving forward.
Parrot had a demo where rather than just showing the individual drones, they actually had them coordinated, choreographed to do a ballet to music. And I was thinking that was incredibly brave given the hostile RF environment. And in fact, in the middle of these 7 drones dancing around, one of them crashed. And I don't know if that was the battery technical failure or what else. This phone, just raise your hand and he will bring you, Marty, he will bring you the microphone. And you can tell us about the toys you saw or wish you saw.
The most interesting thing that I saw at the conference was a company called Energous. Has a system that uses smart antennas to focus energy from a smart antenna station to your cell phone and charge it. And then from a practicality viewpoint, theoretically, you could charge half a dozen cell phones in a room and computers and other kind of things simultaneously. From a technological point of view, they had 96 antennas in their station and another 24 in the handset in order to accomplish this. It was quite an engineering achievement, but notice the human aspects as well.
Thank you. Marty, did you happen to catch the frequency of operation?
It's the 5 gigahertz, or the upper Wi-Fi.
Gigahertz. Wow, thank you.
Yeah, I saw a wireless demo, not unlike many others who were compatible with the new standard that Qualcomm and others are behind. You put your phone on the pad. Okay, that was interesting. What was a variation of this was they had one which was something about the size of a laptop computer. Drive your electric car over when you park in your parking spot and recharges the electric battery. So now we're not talking about milliwatts, we're talking about kilowatts of power being sent wirelessly. It was based, I think, with 13 megahertz, and it was based in the ISM band. It was based on the resonant power transfer technology that was patent developed at MIT in Boston.
There's one thing I think for those of you who've already visited there, the CES should be complimented for their Eureka Park, but dozens of meeting rooms in the North Hall, the N01. You'll find companies like AMD, Marvell Semiconductor, Dolby, and these are usually invitation only. We get more of their representatives in the park. But a lot of the advanced technologies are in these chip booths. They're not off limits to CES attendees. If you go to those rooms, you see part of the signage through the door and say, hey, I have an interest in that 60 gigahertz steerable technology you've got. May I come in and talk? They generally be pretty open to that. So I think if we can find a way to
raise your hand and make a comment. He's still here, and the microphone's here. Otherwise, I'm going to say something, and it's going to be too bad. I remember, when the Internet of Things term and people were still talking about machine-to-machine communications and stuff. I saw a demonstration of and people were joking about why would you ever want to connect your toaster to the Internet? So a little research group bought a toaster that was Wi-Fi connected, and what it did is you would type into your computer right on your toast, and it would burn the initials or the local headlines of the weather report into your toast, so you could read it. Not to be outdone, edible baking materials. It would decorate it, you'd put the thing in the oven, and then you would eat it. And again, this was coming as a 3D printer, so it could make up a wedding cake or initials or decorations on it. I don't know where this is all going. Mike, did you have a comment?
Yeah, going on to other really cool innovations or technical updates. Ultra haptics. had an array, it looked like, I don't know, about a 12 by 12 array of ultrasonic sensors, transducers rather, 40 kilohertz, and what they were doing was steering a pulse into your hand, and they could draw what amounts to a force field type of arrangement. You could feel this in the air above this thing. And I was trying to picture some uses for it. For example, you could combine it with a nice realistic rain pattern using high resolution audio and 4K video, but a nice realistic rain, and then have this thing above you, and you would feel raindrops on your head. Or in gaming, you could, if you shot the monster, the blood splatter, you could feel it on your face. So this ultrahaptics.com, interesting company. Worth at least looking at their demos and videos. The other thing I was going to mention was Qualcomm made an interesting point. When we talk about drones, I love the drones. The drones are very cool. But if you think about what a drone is, it is a processor, a bunch of sensors like gyros and other sensors to detect yaw, pitch, roll, and so on, altitude. It's got a camera because, of course, you're going to take video. A bunch of memory. That's a pretty good description of a cell phone without a display or a cellular modem. Everything else in there had propellers and a motor and a battery, and you've got a drone.
Our team of 5 here at the show has been placing bets with different vendors as to when there'll be an under $49 drone with a wireless HD camera. And then the second extension to that is when that drone will have full cellular connectivity, so it might show your face at a booth where you don't want to walk over to the Venetian, but it represents you there. Lord knows how long those batteries will last, but I don't think anything's room to bet against that sort of thing being possible in the next few years. Not just
Absolutely.
an ambassador drone, if you will, that goes around for you.
And if you look at what all of these companies are doing, they're reaching out to the sensorization of the internet. Our chief economist, Sean Dipperbeck, just produced a book called Our Digital Destiny. It talks about how the world is becoming sensorized and digitized, and how that's going to change the future. And companies like Qualcomm and Intel are right in the center.
Kind of impressed how many car manufacturers showed up here and their presence, size of the booth, or well, demos, cool demos, or even keynote speakers. That was quite impressive.
Thank you. There were 10, we appreciate that here at CEA, there were 10 major automakers at the show. Big booths, we had, as I say, we had some nice keynotes, very impressive showing.
One other area that we saw that we think is very important, and some of us represented in Eureka Park, is how do you get young people into tech besides 2/3 of a paperback book that you can program in JavaScript and as embedded Bluetooth, Wi-Fi radios. You can discover devices around it through TLNA and through UPnP. And these devices will allow anybody really from the age of 8 to 80, including you, Martin, to be able to play with programming and be able to display video, because what's different about this is it has its own touch screen to it. You don't have to attach it to a PC, you don't need an HDMI cable or something. It's portable, and we saw people programming this in the hallway instead of using a notebook computer or something else.
Russ, you have a comment?
Yeah, following up on the note of the car companies, which the evolution of that is tremendous. Going back in ancient history, CES was primarily a show for the suppliers to get retail chain and what have you, and the evolutions. And 1999, my car company friends drafted me to do a coordination, they call it automotive multimedia interface collaboration. And I insisted on holding our quarterly meeting here with I got nothing but real shit from why are you hauling me out to Las Vegas? And the first time, there have been some of the aftermarket guys selling, never been car, and I saw a few of them were still here. This year, BMW, you obviously know how that is, has decided that this is the best place for them to sell cars. Look at the setup, the exhibit covering, they advertise on the TV, covered the Renaissance themselves.
big show. They had 250 cars here. And their assessment was that there are more people who own luxury cars attending CES than go to New York, Los Angeles, Detroit motor shows. And I think you'll see some of the other car companies who have been doing a little bit of selling, but BMW, the whole purpose that they were out here was to sell cars to your attendees. And that's going to be an evolution.
Thank you for that.
I think, actually, I think Bob was next. And you want to go, Joe?
I don't think anything I was thinking of, though. I did one company is worried about canvas security now. That's the new security firms. I also looked at all these things that Hub's going to talk about tonight. And, we're at the first stage of seeing these toys. It's going to be a few years for that to shake out. But, the other thing is parents. Your cell phone flying thing.
Sorry.
Yes, I've been following the wireless charging business, and I've noticed that there are 2 or 3 competing technologies right now, and I was wondering what you had noticed.
Yeah, actually, my understanding is that the 2 major competitors have actually agreed to come together and harmonize the standard. Mike will probably know better.
PMA decided to emerge with A4WP, which uses the trade name Resonance. Neither of those are compatible with the Qi from the Wireless Powering Consortium, which is a different group. The Wireless Power Consortium has been shipping things for some time. There are several dozen cell phones that they work with now. A4WP is not actually deployed yet. WPC comes out with the ability to send power, and having in-band control signaling is an afterthought that is not mandatory in the old stuff, but is mandatory in the new stuff. A4WP uses a different frequency for power and uses Bluetooth low energy for out-of-band control, and it's mandatory. Okay. I'll stop there.
Yeah, Mike, do you want to have a comment on that, or do you agree?
I thought it was a cool show. I thought one of the most interesting things was to see the charger companies out in the hallways with their booths in South Hall. They took up the really high traffic areas over by the meeting rooms in South Hall, really trying to get people's attention. So it's become an interesting opportunity for alliances and technology companies to show off what they're doing. And speaking of alliances and technology companies, I gave a tour to a very high level, essentially the CTO of a aerospace and defense firm. And his comment was that this would be a great showcase for their technology. You don't think of an aerospace and defense firm as being a consumer electronics company, but they want people to understand their story. They want people to know that they do have advanced technology. Google's driving car has nothing on a modern jet aircraft, for example. So that and the opportunity to bring new technologies to market through other paths, they might come to the show next year. It should be kind of interesting to have a military defense contractor at the show.
Yeah. I know there was one more comment, Marissa, just before you go. We're going to have a very important program note announcement about tomorrow. Our conference technical program chair is going to come up in a minute, so don't leave the room. You'll want to hear this. I don't want to keep it in suspense, but we have the first U.S. citizen Nobel Prize winner in physics speaking here tomorrow at lunchtime, and there are some other changes in the program that Forrest will tell you about. So we've got a few more minutes before the scheduled end of this thing, and I don't want to cut it short. Why don't we allow one more comment, then Forrest will come up.
Okay, we talk about Internet of Things. I was really impressed with this tiny little friendly, colorful product that I saw on the floor. This is for young adults. A 9-year-old or 6-year-old could have an iPhone, but they hate to brush their teeth. So here's this toothbrush electronic or just manual that actually talks to your smartphone, and it will show you which tooth you're brushing at the time. It was just it was just fabulous. I think I can sell that too. Huh? I don't remember the name of the company. There's several. Okay, but those are for the young people and also for the parents who have hard time to convince their kids to brush the teeth.
So just when you think you've seen it all, right? Scott, you want to close?
Yeah, just to pick up on what you said about sort of defense contractors coming in. I currently work for a defense contractor, and we are continuously looking at consumer electronics to try to solve some of the problems, because once upon a time, I think it's fairly safe to say, the military would design first and then it would feed down to the consumers. Now it's totally the other way around, and it's very much consumer driven. So I'm not at all surprised that these guys are going to show, look, this is what we can do with your stuff for your benefit.
So
here's my card. So we can get you some booth space next year.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to close comments from the floor here for a moment, because we do have a couple housekeeping things to take care of now. First, there is a special session that's not printed in any of the printed programs across the hall. It'll be starting at 10 minutes past the hour. You can see the information up on the screen here. Also, if you have paid for your group tickets and you haven't picked them up, shame on you. Go get them. There's also a free T-shirt and a cap available for you at the registration booth with the the CE Society logo on it that'll promote and for no charge for our society. And let's see, what else did I forget? I didn't forget anything, but Forrest, our technical program chair, is going to come up and make some programs.
I'd like to say something. Stuart is a man of a few words. Please give a round of applause for Stuart for this, and have a special section. And also to recognize, I think those of you who've been to many conferences, the AV team here is incredible in all the sessions. So thank you, AV team.
I'd just like to make a quick announcement. There are some changes to the program for tomorrow. If you would like to take a look at the latest program, it is available online, or we have actually posted it out outside the registration booth. So there is no more program in the afternoon. The keynotes have been shifted to today actually, and we have 2 sessions in the morning, followed by some award during lunch, and the most important we have by the Nobel Prize winner, Professor Nakamura, after the award session. So we hope to see all of you tomorrow. Yeah.
So we are adjourned, and enjoy the rest of the conference. There's still more to come, including Monday.
And thanks all for your attention and great questions.
Thank you all.